staff portal along with some like quick help guides and things like that.
Can you do that one more time, please?
No, I don't wanna. That was really
Sorry.
good.
I didn't press the button.
What do you mean you didn't press the
guys,
button?
She's
The button is
streaming
on
live
now.
with Southern Bluff, so if we can make sure that we keep our side conversations to 0, basically, so that Southern Bluffs is not having a difficult time hearing.
And it's going district-wide as
It's
well.
district-wide.
And it's, okay, so, yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Good?
Yep.
All right. Now, man, a good one. So, my name's Kat Ellingson, and thank you for joining us today for a live stream of Google Team Drives. I am live streaming from Spence. If any of you joining us online wish to ask a question, you can do so by writing in the chat box on the right-hand side of the YouTube channel. Anyone in the room today, if you just want to raise your hand, and I'll ask that you speak loudly so the mic can pick you up. So today we're going over Team Drives, what it is, how you can get started with it, what the sharing permissions look like, because it is a bit different with Team Drives than it is with Google Drive. And I'm just gonna back out of here and actually go into my drive. So to get started with Team Drives, what you're gonna do is on the left-hand side of your Google Drive, you should see something new called Team Drives. And if you come in here, if you're not a part of anything, you won't see anything. And if you're a part of something, you should see something in here which you can double click and go into. So Team Drives were made by Google. As Shelley explained earlier, it's an answer to when people leave the district, or if there's sensitive material that you need to share with a group of people inside of your organization. The cool thing about it is if for some reason everybody that's a part of the Team Drive leaves, the district is the owner of those files. So people that are part of the Team Drives, they aren't really owners of the documents anymore that are inside of those Team Drives. The district is. So, you know, the @lacrossesd.org domain is the owner of those documents. So if I wanted to make a new Team Drive, what I would do here is I would come up to New, and then it's going to ask me for a name. So I'm going to call it my Demo Team Drive, and I say Create, and be patient with it. Be a lot patient with it.
Can you see that?
There it is. Oh. Dramatic pause. All right, so here's my demo Team Drive. If I double click into it, I get a whole bunch of options. So as the person who created the Team Drive, I have full access, meaning I can add people, I can remove people, I can edit files, I can change particular member permissions. If I wanted to add people to my Team Drive, it's a little bit hard to see, but up at the top here under the name is this Add Members button. So when I click on that, I get something that's very similar to the My Drive sharing window, but you'll notice that there's nothing that's called owner when you come in here and you start playing with permissions. So for my example here, I'm going to invite my friend Dan, and probably Kyle, or Kyle. And underneath there, you see where it says full? If I drop that down, this is where I'm starting to get into those other permissions. So full access gives the whole full access to the whole kit and caboodle. Edit access means that anyone with those permissions can only edit the files, add, remove, but they can't add more people to the Team Drive. Comment access, that just gives, of course, the ability to comment on any files that are in there. And view access, I can only see the files that are in there. I can't do anything with them. So I'm going to give my two friends just edit access here, and I'm going to hit send. So that just added them to my team drive, and you can see my number here, 3 members, goes up. If I click on that link here, I get back into where I can edit their permissions. So under here, if I maybe want Dan, I just want Dan to see stuff in here. So I can change that. I can also, this is where I go to remove members. So by default, anybody you add to your team drive can see everything inside of the drive. That is a little bit different than with my drive. In your personal Google Drive, if you wanted to get super fancy and granular, you could set up a real big hierarchy of folders and say this person can only access this folder but not this folder. If they're a part of your team drive, they can see everything. So I'm gonna hit done here. Now, the next thing I want to go over is kind of like the advanced features and settings that you can set up in a team drive. So if I click on my name of the team drive up here and I come down, there is this team drive settings. And when I open that up, I've got some additional options. So by default, the team drive can only be accessed by people that are inside the district. So you can't share with outside people. If you want that ability, so say you maybe have a file that you want to share with, I don't know, another school district or something like that, you do have to come in here as someone with full access, and you can change these options here. So the bottom option is only people, I got that backwards, I'm sorry. So the default option is people outside can be given access. If you need to change it to just people on the inside, you can change that here. So if there's something a little more sensitive out there in your team drive, you might want to flip that to just people on the inside so it's not accidentally shared outside. The next option here is sharing with non-members. So what this means is being able to share with people outside of the school district of La Crosse. So if they don't have, so it's outside of the school district of La Crosse, but also outside of the team drive. So you can share individual files like on a one-on-one basis with people that are not a part of the team drive. And then this last option, I can't think of a reason why you would need it, but you can prevent people from downloading anything in the team drive or editing or doing anything with it. It's kind of like this view only thing. You can't even print if you turn this on. So I'm going to hit done there. Now, as far as the actual team drive, it works pretty similar to my drive. So if I want to create a new folder, I can come up to new, whoops, and I can give it a name. I'm going to say test folder of awesome, and I'm going to say create. But again, remember, if someone's a part of the team drive, they have access to everything that's in here. So I can't just say, Dan only has access to this folder, but not, another folder. He automatically gets access to everything in here. Now, a couple of things. So just like a normal team drive, you can create documents right in here, but you can upload files. And if you wanted to, I know a lot of us have already created these folders with documents in there that might link to other documents, and maybe you want to move that into a team drive so it's more secure. What you can do is, if it lives in my drive, so if it lives in your drive, you can use the move function to move that over. But there is kind of one caveat to that. You have to be the owner of the document in order to move it into a team drive. If you're just someone with edit permissions on a document, it won't let you move it over, and I think it gives you an error message when you try. So I'm just gonna go into my drive, and I'm gonna scroll. I think I have, as you can see, I live in Google Drive. I have, let's say, 124 gigabytes in there. But I'm gonna come into my test folder and say I want to move one of my testy responses over into my team drive. Now, there's 2 ways to do it. The first is if you right-click on a document, you can say move to. And then I can just go back here and back one more. And then you see my team drives right here. If I click the arrow, I can choose my demo team drive and choose if I want it in a folder, if I just want to drop it wherever. I'm going to put it in my test folder of awesome and say move. And if you give it a moment, it's going to move that document over for you. So that's kind of, you can do this on multiple documents. That's the first way. The second way is on the left-hand side, you can drop down this little arrow, and it's going to drop down what team drives you have access to. So I want to drop a few more into my demo drive here and there. And from here, I can just select multiple files if I wanted to, and I can click and drag those over. And again, you see, give it a moment, Google will move those over. Now, the cool thing is if you have those documents where you're linking to other documents, like other Google Docs, you can move all of those over, and it's going to retain the links to all of those documents. Because when you're linking to documents in like Google Docs, it's linking to the file, not the location. So it keeps all of those. You don't have to update your links or anything. So you just want to grab all of your files, plop it into a team drive, it'll still work. So if you've got like, I've seen those charts out there with like links to stuff and they look pretty crazy. Those will all still work if you move them in. So let's see here. Organize. So deleting files, when you're in a team drive, and let me go back here, go into my another folder. So if you want to delete a file, just like normal My Drive, you can click the trash can over here. Just know that only people with full access or edit access can do that. So I'm going to hit delete. And when you get this, it's a little bit different in team drives. It's saying delete for everyone. So in normal drive, if you were the owner of a document and one of your editors deleted the document, they only deleted it for themselves. You can never delete in normal drive. You can't delete an owner's copy of the document. In team drives, if you delete it, it's actually gone for everybody. So be very careful when you're deleting things out of here, because there is literally only one copy of that document. But it's also the same for organization. So in your normal drive, you can organize your files as you see fit, and it doesn't necessarily affect other people. With team drives, that organization is how it's organized for everybody. So I'm going to say delete for everyone, and it is gone. If I want to restore a file, so say I accidentally deleted a file, this trash can down here is only for your drive. To restore a file in Team Drive, you come up to the top, click on the name, and you go to View Trash, and this is the trash for the Team Drive. So they kind of separate that out a little bit more, especially, they do it because if you start getting into a whole bunch of different team drives, it's so they're not all in one place. So if I come in here, I can right click on it and I can say restore, and that'll plop that file back into my team drive. So kind of the next thing is, once you're building these out, is how do you find your files inside of a team drive? So up at the top in here, if you don't have team drives, you just search and it's going to search your drive, right? If you want to search a particular team drive, you can drop down this arrow, and in here you can actually, oh, I think I'm in the wrong place. Oh, search within. We can say location. And I can come into my team drive and my demo team drive and select And then it's going to search just that particular drive, which is kind of nice. I'm just going to X out of that. Otherwise, if you do a search up top, it's going to search all of your different team drives as well as your own drive. So it really helps to get a little more granular with that search. Because some of the ones I've seen out there have gotten really big. So the next thing I want to go over is we kind of went over how to get people more members into Team Drive. I want to go over quickly how to share a document with somebody that's not in your Team Drive, because that does come up. And it's very similar to just your regular Google Drive. So if you have a document selected, you can click on the People Plus, and depending on the overall settings for your team, you can add in, I'm going to say Danny. Oh wait, here's Tom. There's Danny. And I can say send. And this will send it out to them. Now, going back one more time, if I go into my Team Drive settings, if the sharing with non-members is set to only members of this Team Drive, that won't work. So if it's like one of those sensitive Team Drives and really only people that are a part of it should be able to see it, and this is turned on, you won't be able to share with people outside of the Team Drive. I'm going to say cancel. I'm going to say done. Any questions so far? So quiet. So let's see. The next thing is link sharing. So I know this is a popular way to share out documents, and this still can be done inside of Team Drives. If I click my plus sign, what I can do down at the bottom here is I can click on who has access. And when I come in here, my first option is link sharing by default is off, but I can drop it down and I can turn it on. And then I can copy this link and share it with people. Now, and I like to say this at all of our Google trainings, just a reminder, all of the kids are in the same Google environment as you. So if for some reason a kid accidentally gets the link to your document, they can access it too. So be cognizant of who you're sharing it with. Only students have numbers in their email addresses. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to say done. So I think one of the last things I want to go over with Team Drives is if you ever need to delete a Team Drive, you do have to move all of the files out of it first, or you have to delete the files. So for my example, I'm going to, I can say delete. Also, you probably notice here I can download copies of everything, but I'm going to say delete for everyone and delete for everyone. Now my Team Drive is empty, and if I wanted to get rid of this altogether, I can click on the name and say delete Team Drive. And it'll give me a little warning. If I click delete Team Drive, it'll delete the whole thing. But again, you have to have everything that was in it out of it. So save it or transfer it to another Team Drive or to your My Drive, and then you can delete it. Let's see. I think my only other thing that I have with it, there are some quick ways to email all of the people in it. And whoever is the owner of the drive, if you want to get fancy, you can pick different themes for it. You can upload pictures and things like that. But other than that, it's pretty similar to a normal Google Drive in terms of working with the files in it. It all functions the same. It's just really who owns those documents in the end, because one thing about the district, if you leave the district, all of your Google accounts get disabled after a period of time. So if you have any files that are shared with somebody and they're super important and you leave, they disappear. So Team Drives really prevents that, because then it's owned by the district. Questions? No?
Not there.
Any questions? No?
Did such a great job.
Thanks. You have a question?
Can students create team drives?
Students can create team drives. I know. But the nice thing is on the back end, we can also see what they're doing, so we can moderate it. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.
We have a question coming in.
Oh, we have a question.
Is the person who creates the drive the only person who can delete the drive?
No. So anyone who has full access to the drive can delete the drive.
If it's empty.
If it's empty.
Okay. Anyone with full access?
Anyone with full access. Yep.
Good question, Southern Bluffs.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And again, this video will be available on the staff portal probably tomorrow, maybe a little bit later. Have a great day. Great to start school year. Woo!